Hey guys, welcome back. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. Now I've shot a lot of video from my home garage here, but I've never really given anybody a personal tour of the place. Now I'm no different than the regular car guy out there. A large percentage of us are working in small home garages. And I wanted to share with you what's going on in my own personal space and how I got around some of the little pitfalls and challenges to working in a small garage. So just to clarify, this is a 24 by 24 garage. It's a double attached. Now if you look at the front here, the doors are actually staggered a couple of feet. So this side of the garage is quite a bit shorter, and my builder didn't inform me that there was going to be this giant jut coming out from the house, taking up another couple of feet. So on this side of the garage, I really only have 20 feet of space to work with. So anyway, let's start in this corner over here. So every garage needs to have its little fridge for cold snacks. So this is my little fridge. You can tell I'm a fan of Pepsi. I like my Pepsi. Over here I have my personal collection of automotive license plates. Now I'm a little different than the average guy. These are American plates. So I've got Texas, Michigan, Louisiana, Indiana, Montana, and I do have some actual Saskatchewan plates at the top here. And these are some of the cars I've owned over the years, and this one here was actually a frame-off job that I did in this garage several years ago. And actually over here, back in '09 when that car was finished, I was kind of proud of this poster. The car actually does appear on the Dragons poster in 2009 when the car was completed. So yeah, I built many cars in here, engine swaps, transmission swaps. And that particular car was a full 5-year frame-off deal. It was kind of a custom slash drag theme to it. Anyway, so you can do a lot of stuff in a small space. Over here, so now one of the little tricks to working with a small space is having things located in a place that's unworkable space. Taking up that unworkable space with your tools and whatever whatever you're storing. That is one of the main tricks to getting around all this stuff. So here I have some of my guns. Anything that's a gun is actually in a holster. Now you can buy these things. You can buy a tube of this ABS, and I just made holsters for all my guns. This is my DeWalt stuff here, so I've got all my bits and my guns and my charger all located in a place that isn't taking up any usable space. Actually over here I have my my timing light is in a holster, very similar deal, made by ABS, 4-inch ABS tubing. And over here I've got well, my grease gun down over here, and caulking guns, and then I've got my heat gun under the shelf there, all in holsters, all out of the way and easy to get to. Now you see the absence of a really large toolbox in here, and that's because back at work is where my big toolbox is, and that's where you'll find, Snap-on, Mac, Matco tools. At home here I don't have the high quality brand name stuff. I just can't afford to have multiples of all the brand name stuff. So you'll see a lot of Princess Auto, Craftsman type tools in my home garage here, and that's because I don't use them on a daily basis. So I've got 2 toolboxes. I've got one on the bench here and one underneath full of tools, and a lot of my wrenches are hanging on the walls. My standard and metric wrenches are all hanging up, and of course my screwdrivers you can see all right above the workbench here, and anything that's a plier. I've got all my pliers and cutters, side cutters, hog ring pliers, all that sort of thing is up out of the way on the wall where I can get to it really fast, but I'm not needing a big drawer and a big toolbox to take up that space. And over here I've got some little cabinetry. Now in here I've got a lot of brass fittings for doing things like brake line on vehicles, or carburetor, fuel line, that sort of thing. Over here I have another one. We've got some automotive bulbs in here, some household wiring stuff. I've got some carburetor parts and pieces in that one. And of course every every garage has to have your basic Merle Haggard box. So there's my stereo system to blast tunes in here when I'm working. All my vice grips are all hung up, on the, nicely out of the way, easy to get to, easy to find at first glance. I've got my bench grinder mounted on a shelf here because I don't have a big enough workbench to actually locate it on there. So, and that's handy to have. Everybody should have one of these in their garage. I got a wire reel on one side and a grinder on the other. And then of course you need a bench vise on your bench. This is just a little 4-inch deal. Again, a lot of this stuff is, Princess Auto, Craftsman, Mastercraft type stuff. Over here I have my air compressor. Now this is your basic Craftsman oilless deal, and it's actually hard wired in or hard lined in, and I've got it plumbed along the ceiling, and I've got one hose reel over here, or actually it's just a car rim with a hose on it, and that would service anything that's out on the driveway. And then I've got an actual hose reel underneath the cabinet here that is centrally located. It's out of the way again, and it's not taking up any usable space, and it's centrally located to the garage. And there's my little heater, and again, this is electric heat in here currently. I do have plans to go gas. That's the ultimate way. Electric heat is very expensive to run, so I only run that thing when I'm actually doing work in the garage, but it does work. It is insulated, and it does keep me warm in here during the winter months. What else could we show you here? So I've got all my wiring, my automotive wiring stuff in this cabinet here. So my heat shrink and my soldering iron and all my automotive related wiring stuff is up in here. Now these cabinets, these are your basic cheap, 60s, 70s vintage cabinetry that I bought at one of those, home recycle deals where you buy used stuff like this or used doors. And you can buy these from those guys. And I just basically hung them on the wall. I can't remember what I paid for them. It was probably 20 years ago, and then I painted them white. Now, ideally, these tin cabinets are really nice. A lot more money, but they are a really nice alternative if you can't find any of the old wood ones. I do have a central vac in here, so that's super handy for cleaning the garage or vehicles. And over here I've got a little bit of an automotive library set up on the shelf here. I've got all my Summit books, Holley, all your Chilton manuals and that sort of thing. Over here, so this was a good find at I believe Princess Auto. I had that on sale for $30. Everybody needs a place to store your hardware. Of course, some of this is household stuff with the screws, but it's a great place to keep nuts, bolts, washers, and that sort of thing. You need that if you're putting something together, you're assembling something. This is another great little hack. I've got some jars, screwed to the bottom of the shelf. You could, they're clear, so you can see what's in there and how much you have, and just makes things a lot easier. I've got my jack stands actually on a shelf. Now I'm only gaining about 4 inches when I shove them on top there like that, but it sure keeps things nice and neat and out of the way. And again, guys, that's the key, is keep things out of the way, and so you're not tripping on it, and it's still accessible. That's the real trick to this whole thing, working in a small space. So unfortunately, now that it's winter time, I have to keep my snowblower in here, and yeah, it's taking up space in the garage here. So the two cars, so the Chevelle obviously is tucked away for the winter on top of the hoist, and then this is one of my wife's cars that we elect to not drive in the winter time, so it finds a space in the garage as well. So, and I still have room for the wife's other daily all-wheel drive SUV that she drives in the winter time. And so now this 2-car garage is technically turned into a 3-car garage. So yeah, you just got to get resourceful. And these hoists are really, they're not expensive. I think this one was $3,000. Taxes paid and delivered. That was several years ago. I did do a video on hoists. You guys can look back in the playlist for that. It's really been a godsend, but regardless of your ceiling height, there is a hoist out there for everybody. Dan at D&D Speed Shop just got himself one of those little scissor hoists, and I think he's got like an 8-foot ceiling in there. So there's something out there for everybody, and I really recommend, you know, a hoist for the hobby guy, that's for sure. It really makes life a lot easier. Anyway, guys, that's kind of a quick walk around in my small space. I hope, you know, maybe some of those little tips and tricks help somebody out. Certainly, I know what it's like working in a small space. I've been doing it for over 20 years in this garage, and like I say, I've done a lot of builds in here, and it's not, you know, hindered me in any way, shape, or form. Just keep things nice and neat and out of the way, and it'll work for you, I promise. You can get out in the garage and enjoy your small space. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. We'll see you again.